we came into this idea of doing redesign as saying, what do we want to be the best at? What are the things that we think we can leverage our school to do great, which will make us a great school, a premier school? And we went through a process several years ago of trying to say, but what's the essence? What are the great things that we want to do, that we want to focus our time on? And they came to be known over the years as our 3 pillars. And then when the district took them over, they became the 3 C's: collaboration, competency, and culture. These are the 3 things that we said, if we can do these really, really well, it's going to make us a great school. Collaboration is the idea that we work in teams, whether they be professional learning communities for our teachers, or whether it's the fact that our kids are in small learning communities, a lot like Noble, when Noble talked about how they're set up. Competency is the idea that our kids have to demonstrate competency in skills in order to be considered passing a class, in order to show us that they've learned something. It's based at that granular level on competency. And climate and culture are the things that we do to improve our school climate in our community for the better of everybody. Around the country, wherever you go, I think the driving definition for competency education is this one right here by Chris Sturgis and Susan Patrick of INACO. It's a 5-part process. And for us, this became the framework for which we would innovate. So it's like our sandbox, so to speak. And these are the things, the absolutes, that whatever innovations we're going to be doing, and our teachers are going to talk about a lot of the things that they've done, they have to fit within this sandbox. But in competency education schools, there is the ability for students to advance upon demonstrated mastery. That once you've learned it, you now can move on to the next thing or the next task. Competencies include explicit, measurable, transferable learning objectives that empower students. And all of our courses are built around course competencies. And that's what drives all of our courses. That's what drives all of our assessments. And assessments are meaningful. They're positive learning experiences for students. So we do a lot of work with performance assessments. Our students get timely, differentiated support based on their individual learning needs. And as you can imagine, there's an opportunity to use the task model to do this. And learning outcomes emphasize competencies that include application and creation of knowledge, as well as the development of important skills and dispositions. NEAS calls them the 21st century skills. So, how do you create a model that allows you to look at the whole student? And we call our task period focused learning time. We went through a bunch of different names, and that one really stuck to us because we think that it kind of fit really what our purpose is. It's really focused learning time, FLT. So when we went school-wide with our focused learning time, we wanted a schedule that would give us more flexibility. We loved 60-minute periods, and we loved having that 40-minute focused learning time built in there. But we wanted our kids to continue to have 8 courses, like in a block schedule. So this was our result. It's a bit of a rotating schedule. But I will tell you that with all the work that we do with enriching students, it's driven by our PLC teams. Because our teams, when we can, are set up to share students so that they can become a driving force in determining where students need to go and what supports they need. There's our small learning communities that we have. So our kids are in these schools within a school for 9th grade and then 10th grade. They're on teams.
One of the things that's key to making sure that students stay competent or reach competency is to get to them just in time. The beauty of the flexible learning model, the FLT, is that it allows us to reach students immediately. If a student did not do well in an assessment that I gave yesterday, I can go to the English teacher and say, this student is scheduled in your class right now for an enrichment. They don't need enrichment right now. They need intervention. They need it right now. And we can go grab them.
Also, the PLC itself allows us to kind of sit down and talk with each other and say, these are some of the interventions that we definitely need to offer this week. Here's something that's happening this day. Can we move this thing around? Having that opportunity to work with teachers and other disciplines, all with the same amount of students, also allows for that flexibility during those FLT offerings to really get what the students need and to get it in a timely fashion when they actually need it. And so that's really helpful, having that team of people and having the students all be the same group.
The cool thing about the focused learning time from the freshman perspective is it allows me as a teacher to do a deep dive with students who already get it. If I'm talking about students who are already competent, they've met whatever criteria have been set for them on this particular assignment, well, let's go have some fun. Okay? Let's do a current events FLT where we're going to take a quiz, you're going to challenge the teacher, see if you get a better score, and then we're going to talk about a particular issue for half an hour. I don't have a half an hour in my class to talk about the Syrian crisis, but I want to. It's fun for me, it's interesting to the kids, so let's set that up. And if you're already competent and there's nothing else pressing that you have to come on in and let's have this conversation. And so this allows me as a teacher kind of to play a little bit also. It gives me some time to do things that are interesting to me. Someone did mention, is it an extra prep? In this case, yeah, but it's a prep I want to do.
For us, honors, it's not just about doing more work, it's about doing different work. It's about taking what everybody is doing in class and taking it a step further. In enrichment, we design activities, it is an additional prep, but again, this is what we decided to do, that we would love to have time for and don't have time for in our traditional classes. A lot of times our interventions turn into, well, you didn't turn this in, so you have to do it now. Where what our focus we would really like is, you've tried really hard on this, you didn't quite get it, let's see what we can do to get you there.
So our successes, career speakers. And again, I think you've heard some of this earlier in the day. We typically try to have some career speakers every D-Day. There's maybe one, maybe there's 2 or 3. And those are typically student driven. So student will go, we have a staff member who runs this career portion. A student will go and they might say, like, I really want to see a photographer. So she'll do what she can. She'll probably talk to me or the other art teachers, like, do you know a photographer? And she'll try to get people in that she knows students are really interested in seeing. So that part is typically student driven. And I think a strong point, and I think other people agree as well, that it supports the traditional advisory while also addressing our competency-based needs. I still like, and I think a lot of people still like, that I have a group of students that I get to know, right? If we had FLT every day and I'm glad that I see them on A and D days. In fact, I call D days my family day. And it's starting to spread around the school that kids know that D-Day is Miss Ladd's family day. So like I force my kids to sit around at a group of desks. I make them put their phones away and we talk.
So we got going back to our objectives that we started with. So helping you understand a little bit about competency ed, but more importantly, how we use it to personalize learning. And I guess my big takeaway is you essentially just heard 3 slightly different versions of the same story, because all 3 of those teams made the model their own. There's a reason our bell schedule has 3 charts. Yes, it's the same bell schedule, but it's how they're using the time. And it's like having, have you ever seen like a bunch of gears that are different sizes and they're all moving at different rates, but they make the clock work, right? Well, that's kind of what you see here. I know, I mean, our model's school-wide, but I know that the experience that our students get in 9th grade really boils down to what happens with a small group of teachers that are able to manage that time and make the most of that time and build those enrichments and interventions to support kids. So it's been a pretty cool journey.